recording anyway. Right. So let me try again.
It's recording.
Yeah, recording, yes. But it should be live streaming on Facebook, and I don't know why it's not live streaming. So let me try it again. Sorry, guys, give me a minute. I told you I was from the Stone Age. Told you. A bit of patience.
No worries.
Let me try again. So I should share it and. Yeah, it should start working. Oh, people are joining. That's fantastic. With Milena Ross. Right. It's still giving me preparing signs for Facebook. I think we can. Should I wait for it? Right. So I think I need help here. Jabir, or maybe somebody can help me understand why it's still preparing to go on Facebook and it's not live broadcasting yet.
It's your Facebook, right?
Yeah. It says preparing, so I just don't know what it's preparing.
Mm.
Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Okay, it's on Facebook. I've just received a notification.
Yeah, and I've lost. Yes. Great. So now we can start.
Nice.
Right. 6 minutes late. We like to welcome everybody on board. Thank you for making the time to come. My name is Umayma Osman. I'm with the Architects Hub. I'm stepping in for Slim today. He's the events manager for the Architects Hub. He's volunteer and he's been taken for, well, he's doing some extra jobs today, so he couldn't make it. So bear with me if I go through some glitches here and there, but you're fantastic people. You'll bear with me. Thank you. Well, I'd like to start by first introducing what the Architects Hub is about. Basically, the Architects Hub is a networking association, or it's an architecture association here in Qatar. And what we do is networking events for knowledge sharing and basically networking for architects to peer engage and to connect with their wider network. And we like to go global. And the environment in the Architects Hub Talks is a very casual one where people share. We have fantastic inspirational minds on board with us who come and share their expertise and knowledge. And then we open the ground for people to discuss and share even more. So it's get your cup of coffee and come and share, but Kenza will take over in a while. So just to tell you how the Architects Hub, it's an association registered with the Qatar Financial Center here in Qatar. And we will start our talk today, but I would just like to give you some general guidelines. First, we would like to thank Robert Garita for joining us today and giving us his precious time to share his amazing knowledge. I had the opportunity to meet Robert at the Fablab, I think a couple of times. You inspired my brain to think differently in so many ways. So it's so happy to have you here. And moderating today will be Kenza joining us from Paris. Kenza is an amazing young lady, full of surprises for someone so young, bless her. Philanthropist, writer, architect, entrepreneur, athlete. Bless you, Kenza. Thank you for helping us today. I'd like to welcome everybody on board, but then I'll just give you some quick rules. Let me first admit there are a few people waiting to be admitted. All right, I think we're all in. So just a few rules before we start and before I hand over to Kenza because she'll be moderating today's talk. The few rules are very simple. Please, everybody, what's going to happen is Kenza will introduce the topic and our guest today. Then we will have a presentation. And during that presentation, please, everybody, put your mics on mute. And after the presentation, Kenza will moderate and you can jump in later and share whatever questions you have or thoughts or ideas, right? So now what I will do is hand over to Kenza.
Well, first of all, thank you. And secondly, buenas tardes, señor Garita. Estamos muy honorados de tenerse con nosotros. Or, as we can be said in English, we're very honored to have you with us today. Thank you to our dear attendees for being with us today. We're going to browse very, very interesting topics with our guests. Effectively, Robert will be talking about many subjects going from computational design to the 4I era or the fourth industrial revolution to new skills for the digital age, innovation, entrepreneurship, local production, local consumption, and many others. So as Umayma said, grab your tea or your coffee and your notebooks. Today is going to be a very enriching talk. Before taking it any further, Robert is a Costa Rican architect who is specialized in advanced architecture, digital fabrication, abstract art, and social innovation. Very interesting already. He is a former founding partner of the design and architecture firm MG Studio, right? And
Yes.
has a master's degree from the Institute of Advanced Architecture of Catalonia, a diploma in digital fabrication from the Fab Foundation, and is a certified innovation manager from the University of Leipzig, Germany. So you speak German?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. That was quite shocking, but it's fine. So, Robert, at such era where innovation is the main topic of all talks, could you share with us more about yourself in 2 minutes? And we will then hear about your accomplishments through your interesting presentation.
Well, actually, in the presentation, I have the introduction, so I prefer to go through the presentation. Yes, and I can show a little bit more about me.
Then go ahead.
Okay, perfect. No, thank you, guys. Thank you, Kenza, for your introduction. I'm more than happy to be here. I think it's a great opportunity to share a little bit about what I'm doing, and also like a lot of thoughts I have that I want to share, that listen to you as well. And I think in a very humble way, I just want to take you to a journey today that we're going to discuss about architecture, but of course mainly about how we're living in an era that actually requires different skills. And as an architect or as someone who has a profession, now there's a challenge in how we need to gain those skills, and how the market is pushing us to also to do that. So let me share my screen. Please let me know if you can see. Wait. There you go. Can you see it?
Perfect.
Yes,
perfect. Excellent. So, well, as you can see, the name of the talk is going to be Digital Fabrication and Social Innovation. But I put this subtitle as Emergent Resilient Futures, because I think this is what is happening. There's so many things emerging right now that we need to think in a totally different way. And for me to start, I love this quote from UNESCO. I think it shares a lot of my thinking way of see how we should work as a community, how we need to empower people through knowledge, and how we can use that knowledge to social transformation. And I think that the word social is very important, especially for me coming from Latin America, where actually this is something that is all the time in our day by day, right? So it's interesting, and just as an introduction of myself, as you can see, I started in 2007. I'm from Costa Rica, as Kenza said. I started my own studio in design and architecture. And at the same time, I was a professor in Veritas University, which actually was my university as well. But after 5 years doing my working in architecture, working with my colleagues, doing different things, and also being a professor, I started thinking that, okay, I need something, I need a change, and I need to also to challenge myself, especially because I love fabrication, I love doing things with my hands, but I was reaching a point where we're looking for something else, right? So I found that in Barcelona, there was this great institute, the Institute of Advanced Architecture, and also that they have a Fablab. I didn't understand at that point what was that, but even when I was there after my master, I get so passionate about Fablab and digital fabrication, so I started working there for almost 3 years. And then I joined the Fab Foundation diploma for a year. So after this process, first this personal process with my office, then having the master degree, and then I went back to Costa Rica. I had a great opportunity to co-found and to be the president of the Fablab Association there, and also to be the director of the Fablab Veritas in my university. So this also helped. It was an amazing moment for me to understand how to work with the government. Because I was mainly working in a private sector, but working with the government, working with this social kind of new, let's say, projects for me, it was amazing. It was actually very interesting. And after like almost 2 years, I was very into the innovation field, how with my knowledge, my expertise, I can actually work a little bit more on this. And I get this certification as a certified innovation manager. And someday, very randomly, I got an email from Doha. I thought it was a spam, to be very honest, because I have no idea about people here in Doha. And I opened it, and it was a great opportunity to become the Cubic Fablab director or manager. Which is a project in the Qatar Business Incubation Center, and is led by, or the stakeholder is QDB, the Qatar Development Bank. But who is in charge of this project is a Qatari company called Epticar. And it was interesting because after a year working in the Fablab, Epticar gave me the opportunity to become the manager of the company. So now I'm almost 3 years here in Doha, and the first year was mainly working in the Fablab, but now we're actually working on different Fablabs here. There's one that we're doing with the MOTC, Ministry of Transportation and Communication. There's another one that we're doing with MADA that actually is very interesting because it's for MADA works as an NGO with people with special needs and so on. So we're overseeing different spaces, and this is just a great opportunity. But I consider myself not just an architect, to be very honest. Sometimes I really see myself like someone who loves design and different levels, art, photography, and so on. If you go to my website, you will see that actually I'm working on that a lot. In a few weeks, we're going to have an exhibition, for example, here in Doha. So these things actually shape my way of see everything. And of course, education and academia now is becoming something very, very important, because with Epticar, the company here in Doha, we work very close to the government on providing edutech solutions. And that is just amazing. So just for you to know a little bit more about me, when I was working in Costa Rica as an architect, you can see that I was working and doing different designs, actually working with developing, for example, houses, buildings, doing exterior and interior design. And something that I love is because my company was small, but also we were taking care of the construction as well. So that way of me understanding not just the design part, also it became like a passion. And for me, it was a challenge. And that's why I decided to go to Barcelona, just to understand a little bit more about new techniques of fabrication, right? So, but also from 2007 till 2012, when I was working with my company in Costa Rica, at the same time, I was working in my university as a professor in architecture and product design. And I love academia. I love actually to be working with students. The studio-based learning approach is just amazing. It's an amazing way to actually to have actually educational outcomes, of course. So I was working in pure design workshops, some of them more about how to analyze Costa Rica, our ecosystem, how to do solutions for that. But I was trying all the time to integrate it with, okay, let's fabricate something. Let's do something with our hands. Let's try to, with prototypes that at that time, I didn't know what it was a prototype. For me, it was mainly mockups. But I did the difference between a prototype and a mockup. And also after Barcelona, I become more into the digital work, of course, doing workshops on that, digital fabrication, data analysis, and so on. And actually this last picture is in Paris, by the way. So Kenza, that you're there, okay, that was actually like 4 years ago. But the next picture is a important point for me, because actually expressed when I was working in Barcelona and when I had an opportunity to work for the first time with machines that were actually controlled by computers, right? And for me, that was actually something totally different. I was very into, okay, doing design, doing the 3D models, 2D models as well, but doing that connection about, okay, now if I do a 2D model or a 3D model, I can actually fabricate it. I can do a prototype. What a prototype means. So it means that now I can actually understand a little bit if this is going to work. I can actually work on that specific prototype to get me actually to fail, you know, to have different processes on that. So I was not looking for the beautiful mock-up that looks amazing. I was looking to fail, to understand, and that teach me how I can implement that know-how on my final outcome or my final, let's say, goal as an architect. And it gives me also like a shift. It creates also a different kind of mindset for me, especially because after that, it was not just about, okay, I'm an architect, I should do just architecture as a building. And architecture can be applied, or the idea of architecture can be applied in different levels. So that was very inspiring for me. But also I had the opportunity to meet the huge Fablab network, different events, different activities all over the world. And right now, when I started, it was actually like around 1,000 Fablabs in 2012, something like that. Right now, we're reaching 2,000 Fablabs all over the world. And the amazing thing about this is that we are connected in a way. So for example, the idea of Fablabs is that if I have the same machines, if I'm sharing the same softwares, and I'm sharing, of course, know-how and knowledge, I can use the design that is made in maybe in Barcelona and I'm fabricating here, or I can send it to China, or I can send it to Latin America. And that makes actually that everyone wants to share in an open way. And open knowledge is a core for this. And something interesting right now in this COVID situation that of course we are struggling with that. It was the amazing response from Fablabs in countries like France, like Spain, like Italy, because the community at some point, you know, that it was very difficult to import things, right? It was actually impossible to do it. So Fablabs, they raised their hands and they were like, okay, guys, we can fabricate. They start fabricating things that can provide some security for the people, things for the medical sector, things that we need right now. So that was like a huge message, sorry, about, okay, let's start thinking and let's start believing in local production. It's not just about we importing things. We need to provide the tools to produce locally and to help on what we call it the circular economy, right? But we're gonna discuss a lot about that in a few. For those ones who doesn't know what is a Fablab and what is the main goal of Fablabs, I put it like this for me. This is my way of understanding the Fablabs. It could be different for everyone, but for me, this is a right message. So it's a space that can give me the opportunity to have access to 2D and 3D modeling, of course. I can connect those machines, those computers to another machines to fabricate. And this is something very, very interesting. Of course, I can have access to traditional power tools. I have access to electronics and coding, which for me as an architect, it was a totally different domain. I have no idea about that. And actually I struggle a lot at the beginning just to understand, because at the end it's like trying to speak another language, right? But what I love and what I really try to push all the time with people, it was, okay, this core value of open and shared knowledge. If we share that, and if we understand that we need to share the knowledge, we need to actually to give it to the people in a free way, that actually makes everything like makes real the transformation we're talking about in terms of the community and the social impact that we can have. But I'm gonna go on that moment when I had the opportunity to, let me say it differently. There were two projects that actually changed my way of seeing architecture when I was in Barcelona and when I was actually in Peru as well. The first one is this one, which is the Fablet House project, led by the Institute of Advanced Architecture with the Center for Bits and Atoms of MIT. And it was actually very interesting because it was a solar house for the Solar Decathlon in Europe competition, okay? Which took place, I think, in Spain in 2010, something like that. But I love, because they start with three main arguments. The first one is, okay, let's try to understand the industrialization model differently. So at that time, okay, instead of us buying all the pieces and fabricating with somebody else, let's do it in-house. Let's do it in the Fablab. The second argument, it was based on, okay, let's try to understand how with the technology that we have, we can have a different kind of efficiency of technology, okay? And the third one, it was, okay, let's try to see how we can distribute the intelligence. How they did that is because even if they were working in Barcelona, they invited a lot of Fab Labs so they can collaborate. Some of them did the design outside Barcelona, but through the fabrication, it was very easy to get those files and fabricate it. And as you can see, it's like a very interesting house. Of course, it's mainly like a kind of a one-to-one prototype. But that actually triggers my mind, and it changed a lot. It was a blow mind moment for me, because it says, okay, now I can fabricate a house in a Fab Lab. If I have the access, if I have the tools, if I have the know-how and the space, I can even prototype a house. I can even prototype this for maybe places that needs a very quick solution, right? So that was a very inspiring moment for me. The second project actually was that got my attention. It was this low-cost loom that it was produced entirely using digital fabrication, and it was produced by a Peruvian architect. And if you see the loom is they use it to fabricate different fabrics, right? In Peru, this is actually something very related with their culture, right? So it was a link, an amazing link for me to understand, okay, technology doesn't mean that we're just gonna get like these kind of high level outcomes. No, it's also a good tool to create another tool that can be very close to my heritage and that can be actually related to the context, okay? And actually this loom optimizes the production of fabric in a 60%. So these two projects gave me a lot of inspiration to understand as an architect, okay, the different skills I can work with, and how also these small machines or medium machines can also give me solutions in different scales as well. These three examples are also something interesting because it was a way when I was doing my master, when I got the opportunity to fabricate something as simple as a brick, you know, but understanding that that brick can be customized by me, that I can analyze the different ways of, for example, of building a wall. So that means that I don't need the same size of the brick in the full wall, because the bottom can be thicker, but in the top part, it could be thinner, right? So I can customize the shapes. And that was using, of course, softwares and machines producing the final outcome. But then I had the opportunity to understand, okay, now it's about electronics. If I can understand electronics, the idea of an input and an outcome, that means that I can even, for example, design a facade that if I have a sensor, is going to close it, right? It's going to close the facade, so it has a different kind of interaction. Or if there's no light, it can open, and it gives me this breathing idea or concept as well. And then using different tools, especially like softwares like Grasshopper, where actually is a way for you to understand the 3D modeling in a completely different way. We're talking about something which at the end, sometimes you don't know even what is going to be the final outcome. But that experience and exploring through the software, it was amazing. So for me, it was so important not just to focus on softwares. It was also important to focus on how I can produce things. And that's actually how I shape my way as an architect and as a designer. And then after all these experiences and all these things that we discussed before, actually, I started analyzing more about, okay, the concept of circular economy. Now, if I have access to different spaces as Fab Labs, maker spaces, working spaces, I mean, also I have access to tools to produce. I can understand what I need to consume as well. And then I can recycle that, and then I can reuse that. So that means that now I understood that as a citizen, not as an architect, but as a citizen, I can become a prosumer. And this concept is very interesting because it means that I can produce and I can consume whatever I need, and not what the market is pushing me to do. So as designers, this is a huge statement. This is something very important. And as an architect, I think is reshaping the way of seeing architecture as well. And this is actually a quote that for me is very important. As citizens, we are more than just a profession. Okay, we're not just architects. We now, for example, before the talk, we were talking about the new challenges that we have as a community. Now we have lockdowns everywhere. We have a different way of how to live inside the house. Where's my office? How I should work? How is going to be the market after this? I'm gonna find a job, or are my current skills actually the ones that the market is looking for? So this question mark is very scary, to be very honest. It's actually something that most of the people are looking for answers, but we're living in a moment that things are changing so dramatically that we need just to understand the full scope and take the right actions to be aligned with that, of course. And if we look around the world right now, there's so many things, so many challenges that are looking for a solution, or at least for us to take an action. And these massive problems are still yet. And I think the problems I'm talking about is, okay, as an architect, it's not just about the shape. It's not just about, let's say, the final outcome of the building. It's not just about how things looks great. That's part of it. But now we are not just architects. We are actually citizens with a different kind of approach. And combining these two things together, we need to understand which are the new opportunities that actually the world is looking for. So those challenges, the ones like the ones I have here, please go through it, because we're going to use it in the presentation. But these are the real challenges that we need to accomplish, right? And now are becoming opportunities. So that means that we need to understand that our know-how, our knowledge, combined with maybe a group of people with different backgrounds, with different approaches, could be a way to approach architecture and to approach different solutions for the needs of the market, but especially the challenges that we have in our world. This is a very interesting data, or let's say like the interesting number. In the 1900s, 2/3 of the population work in agriculture and manufacturing. So it was like around 38 working in farms and 25 in factories. That was actually what happened at that time. But today, we're talking about just 2% on agriculture and 9% in manufacturing. So we can say, okay, so that means that 50% of the population is unemployed right now. So this is actually not the way of analyzing this number. What is happening is that we are creating new jobs. We are creating new opportunities. We're creating 30 million new jobs in the last decade. So history has given us a very interesting lesson. So which means that now is these solutions, these kind of new opportunities, job opportunities, were not created by big enterprises. Actually, were created by a high growth new ventures. People with idea, with a passion, looking for new solutions and driven by the needs of the market. So why is this important? Because, okay, if we analyze this same data and we take it to what is going to happen in the future, is the same feeling. So for example, I'm going to give an example. We have right now 3.1 million people that drive cars and trucks, right? Because of the new solutions of the market, they might eventually have their jobs eliminated in the future, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 5 years, we don't know. But however, it means that we're not going to eliminate the jobs, and that's not going to happen. We're going to actually replace by new industries and concepts that we don't know yet, that are waiting for us, okay? And at the same time, we're living a revolution that is more than just a simple change driven by technology. Now it's an extraordinary opportunity to help and support all the citizens, as social and political leaders, as local and central governments, for all type of peoples, regardless their gender, age, or income. This is not important. But what we can do, or we should do, is to take advantage of emerging technologies to create and build an inclusive future centered on the human being and its relationship with the context. So this is a great message, because this is what is going to give us that, let's say, opportunity to think about what is next, what the world is looking for the future, and what I can do with my expertise to solve this, or at least to give just maybe a statement on this. And now we're going to talk about human capital, and this is very important. Because even if we know that, okay, we're living this revolution, it sounds amazing, it sounds very promising. However, also it's generating a lot of questions about how it's going to be, right? This specific moment is like equal to a mobile connectivity. We're hearing a lot about Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, the next generation of robotics, right? 3D printing, advanced materials, genetic engineering, nanotechnology, and all this combined is actually transforming the way of how we produce and consume things. So systems are changing, of course, and this one is having a huge impact on the business models that we have in our countries. So it's a different kind of economic growth. The sustainability is something important to understand how this is shaping. But what is happening is that the employability and the entrepreneurship is demanding different skills and abilities. And this is the most important thing that now, from now, we're going to talk about. So in particular, innovation is and new technologies are influential for or are very important for the skills that requires production and consumption, right? And this is what is happening right now. But what we need to understand is, okay, how this is reshaping the workforce and how we need to take actions to do that. But how to understand that, I think this diagram is going to explain it in a very good way, because for countries to understand how to move forward in the future, how to understand the performance, how to understand which kind of skills they're looking for, we have the global human capital index. And this is the way that countries are actually analyzing how they can move, okay? And how they do it according, of course, to the World Bank. The human capital defines the know-how and the skills that people possess, right, to create value in the economical system, okay? So, and they have 4 elements to analyze this. One is the capacity, which means the level of formal education of younger and older generations, right? As a result of a past education investment. So that means when we went to the school, high school, and university, so what is my capacity today, right? As Robert, as Kenza, as all of us, right? Then the second one is the development. So it's the formal education of the next generation. So that says the kids that are studying right now, which kind of skills they need, how we need to upskill and reskill, because they will be the future workforce. Then we have the deployment, which is the application and accumulation of all the skills among the population. So that means, okay, maybe we have 2 million people living here, but how many of them have the right skills to approach these new challenges, right? And of course, the know-how, which is the depth of specialized skills that we have at work, okay? So if we go and analyze, okay, who are the best ones on this, who are leading this human capital index, we can see that the first 3 positions are led by Norway, right? Finland is second. We have Switzerland, we have USA, and we have Denmark. Of course, it's interesting because if you analyze this and you analyze the best educational systems or models, you're gonna find some kind of connectivity there, right? So you can see like the rank on each one. But if we go to this part of the world, which is the Middle East, we need to see like how we're working on that, how actually, who is leading this, which is Israel. Then we have UAE in the second one, Bahrain is the third one, and Qatar is actually the 4th one. And let's see a little bit the numbers. So in overall, Qatar is doing not that bad, it's 55. It's very good on capacity, okay? It has 94, which means, okay, the education on the people is going very well, but it's doing terrible in terms of deployment, okay? Which means, okay, from all the population, how many people has the right skills to produce what the country is looking for? And you can see that. I'm an example of that. I'm an expat in Qatar because I have a specific skill that it was required for an action, you know? So it's very important right now. And one of the actions that we're doing, for example, here is that we need to upskill people and to give them a different kind of skills so they can actually be a better solution, more efficient for the country, and of course, and more sustainable as well. And then we can see that the development is going like not that bad. It's a 52, and the know-how as well. But this is an amazing way to understand where is Qatar. Even you can go and you can check the global index and you can see, I don't know, all the people who are joining us today, where is your country and how we're doing in terms of numbers. And you can understand why we're doing so bad on capacity, why we're doing so bad on deployment and so on. I'm quite sure that most of you knows about the lifelong learning concept, right? And the 21st century skills. But if not, I think it's an important moment after analyzing this information and after understanding this kind of information as well, that living in society, we have a key responsibility. We have new challenges and we have to be very open and receptive to this concept, which means that actually the main concept of lifelong learning means that the mission is to teach to learn, okay? So that's interesting, how I can teach to learn people. And now we're living like for example, because of COVID, right now we're trying to understand how to do this kind of new experiences. Today, us in Zoom having this session means that we're changing completely the way that we are like, or we're supposed to have these interactions. But how to teach to learn, how to give us this preparation is something important, because it doesn't matter if you went to the school, it doesn't matter if you went to high school, university, then master, a PhD. To be very honest, a PhD means nothing today, right? Companies are looking more for skills. So maybe you can have a huge PhD, right? But the company is looking for something else. That PhD is going to work amazing in a university. You can go and you can present and you can be a director. But if you want to go to the real world, this is not what the companies are looking for. And we need to be very aware about that. We need to challenge even the educational model that we follow. We need to challenge even the way that we're doing this kind of, or the way that we're even giving education to the new generations. So just to go up very quick into the diagram, as you can see there, the one in the middle in orange for me is very important, which is the competencies that we have, which are the four C, right? The critical thinking, the capacity, the communication, and the collaboration. So right now, even if you have an amazing background, if you have an amazing know-how, but you don't know how to work with that, it's going to be very difficult for you to understand how to work with teams, how to be a leader, how to work in different contexts, in different environments. And that's why at the same time, we have the character qualities, right? Which is curiosity, initiative, how I can adapt, how I can lead, and so on. So it's very interesting because like maybe a month ago, I was doing an analysis on education, research on education. It's very interesting that I don't remember in my life when I was in school, in high school, that someone told me not even how to talk in front of people, not even how I should work in groups, not even how I should actually lead the process. Those soft skills are more important, are more actually interesting for companies than if you know a lot about engineering, if you know a lot about education. So think about it because it's actually completely changing the way of us seeing the workforce and also the skills as well. About our experience in Qatar, I think this is very important to share with you guys. Why? Because I do believe that spaces like the Fab Labs, spaces like the maker spaces, the studio-based concept is something that, for example, in architecture, we use it a lot. but working instead of going for the goal, right, or having a very specific objective, it's more important to have a challenge and to try to solve that problem. And through this learning by doing, trying to prototype a lot, trying to fail a lot, is the best way that we can have an answer at the end. So it's more important to understand and to trust in the process than to be very safe or be very sure about what is going to be the outcome. The outcome can be totally different from what we're expecting from the beginning. But if we understand that at the end, we open this knowledge, we challenge ourselves, and of course, we try to consider our context as this kind of mold for us to maybe think globally, but act locally, it will be an amazing way, right? So these are some examples that people from different backgrounds working on electronics, trying to use the laser cutter. You cannot imagine how many artists are working in the Fablab to do and to express themselves in a different way. I love this the third picture because it's a group of like around 4 students from school. They won actually a medal in Mexico about robotics, and they did the full robot in the Fablab. The gender equality is for me important. So you can see that it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter your gender. You can actually have access to this, and of course, working in an open space where you can just share this knowledge and you can have this interaction. Because of this and because of the actions we're doing right now, as an example here in Doha, about how we can upskill and reskill the generations, something as a comment of an experience, something that it was very, very interesting for me when I came for the first time to Doha is that I was starting the project from scratch, and I was receiving some CVs and amazing CVs, people with a lot of experience, but what that experience, it was something about practice, they're none. It was very difficult for me to understand that, and that most of the universities here in Doha, they are amazing in terms of theory, but nothing in terms of practical outcomes, So it was a challenge as well because it was a way to learn and relearn, So yes, this is just something as an experience. Now, after 3 years, the first 2 ladies who came, fresh graduates looking for just an internship, they become actually the managers of the space. So imagine that process. They first start as an interns, then they were part of the team, and they were so amazing in how to understand the technology, so open and so passionate to challenge themselves that now they're actually managing the space. But also now we're creating a new skill community, right? And this is important because, for example, through international diplomas as Fab Academy and Fab Academy here, now we're having ambassadors. We're having people who are first gaining the know-how, gaining the knowledge, and now spreading that. And a very interesting example is with Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali is a professor in a school right now here in Doha. He took the Fab Academy a year ago. Right now, he become the Fablab engineer in the school, and now he's sharing all that knowledge to the to the students in that specific school. That actually is an interesting school because it's a public school here in Doha, but they trust a lot and they believe a lot in STEM and STEAM education, and they have right now the Fablab. So it's amazing how you see that people with no expertise on technology, people from it's totally educational background, looking for, okay, now I'm a teacher, I need to teach this to my kids, but I don't know even how to learn that. So this kind of outcomes, this kind of answers from or this kind of, let's say, inspirational testimonials from the people is just amazing. And as you know, I'm from Costa Rica, and I came here. It was a challenge, and I really want to share this because we're talking about 2 completely different environments, right? A country with a lot of nature first, a lot of green, and we don't have a lot of green here in Doha, right? So the weather, it was a challenge. But what I'm putting this is because I love this image, right? This was actually this specific Fab Lab is the first Fab Lab in Latin America inside an slum area. Okay, and we work with an amazing NGO in Costa Rica, and they believe in how these communities, they're just looking for an opportunity, right? They have a lot of passion, they have a lot of talent, they have a lot of people who are just looking for an opportunity to contribute, to be better in the future. And so that was part of my experience working in Costa Rica. I love this social topic. That's why I was very into. But when I came here, it was a completely different way of seeing the social impact of things, right? Because we're talking about a country that also has a lot of let's say initiatives from the government. So that means that maybe the money is not an issue right now, but also it struggles a little bit with the same problems or challenges I mentioned at the beginning, right? So it doesn't matter if it's in Costa Rica with just or working in these kind of slum areas. It doesn't matter if it's in Doha working in a country that has actually a good access. It has also a lot of money. At the end, the challenges are the same. You know, we're talking about how we can be more equal, how we can be more efficient, how we can have a better education, how we can have a gender equality, how we can have also an action for climate, and how we can be responsible for the consumption and the production. So this is actually part of my message. It doesn't matter where we are right now. It doesn't matter also how we look at the future. But if we target and if we understand how now with technology, we can actually be part of this change, I think in the future, if we ask ourselves how it's going to be or how we're preparing the future, I think it's to solve these problems, right? It could be through architecture, but it could be about me as an architect working with my know-how, maybe with a sociologist or a biologist, or maybe I can work in an educational field, and I can have a huge impact on my country, and why not on the future of the world as well. So yeah, I think this is it. This is what I was planning for today. So this is my website. If you can go and check it and you can see a little bit about me, please just send me a message and so on. I will be more than happy to share and to have maybe also now with Zoom, we can have a meeting any time as well, right?
So, thank you for that. That was amazing. Kenza, floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much for this very interesting presentation that actually fascinated me, because I am actually relating so much to the achievements I would like to have later on in my life. I would definitely check out your website. I was actually typing it right now. And so I think we should proceed to some questions, if you don't mind, of course.
No, come on.
I prepared a list of questions. I don't know if the attendees as well have some questions to ask, but I would like to start with one. And it's that I've checked your LinkedIn account, and I could see that you're the general manager of the Fablab at Cubic, and an operations manager at IB Tech Care.
Epticar, yes.
Yes, and can you please tell us more about that initiative that's, I guess, linked to e-learning, and which can be seen as some form of entrepreneurship that you have been doing?
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, as I mentioned, so Epticar is the catering company. When I came to Doha, it was a very small company, just 5, maybe 4 members, but with a huge passion for technology and education. So because of that, they got the contract with QDB to do the Fablab. So they took me from Costa Rica to Doha because of my experience. But after a year, and of course sharing a lot of thoughts with Naif Ibrahim, who is the co-founder of the company, we created an amazing friendship, and also we we found that there were so many topics that we can also work together. So at that point, I become a manager, operation manager of Epticar, which is a company that works with the government on different levels. We provide edutech solutions, right? And of course, aligned to the STEM and the STEAM education, which is science, technology, arts, engineering, and math, of course. But also we operate spaces, okay? And also, and now we, because of the pandemic, we are now producing products based on our know-how. So it's interesting because, as I mentioned before the talk to you, it's a very young company. It's very flexible, and now we can see that we have a kind of different. We have a different kind of mindset and expertise that is new to the region, right? And combining this with the passion is actually helping us to evolve and to move fast, but trusting all the time that through passion and with a very, let's say, specific goal, which is how you can create impact on the population, you can achieve whatever you want. So yeah, this is basically a little bit about what is happening with this specific company I'm working right now in Doha.
All right, thank you very much.
Can I just come in for a quick thing? Robert, do you mind taking down the presentation so people can sort of interact? Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Go ahead, Kenza, sorry.
No worries. I have another question, please. Digitalizing architecture is one of the biggest debates nowadays as well. And architects who are interested by artificial intelligence innovation are often pointed at, right? Have you known any hardships getting your ideas heard?
No, not at all. Actually, it's an interesting question. No, I think now, for example, what I can see that there's a huge lack on understanding the new softwares, of course. Engineering and architecture, they're trying also to understand how they can go at the same speed as the softwares. Now we have the BIM, right? So a lot of companies are for this BIM solution to be more efficient, to be more actually to have a better performance as a company. A lot of companies are also trying, or a lot of offices and studios are trying to implement the Fablab concept internally as well, just to also understand that using those technologies such as 3D printing, CNC machining, and so on, they can actually speed up the creative process internally. But something that is a challenge right now, and I think is, okay, how artificial intelligence, how virtual reality, augmented reality, how coding and electronics are becoming part of the know-how of architects, right? So why? Because now architecture, and because of, for example, if you're right now, you're in France, for example, it's very difficult to do something from scratch, right? Maybe most of the architects are working in interior design. It's different that here, right? That they are working in massive projects, huge buildings and so on. It's different than me, maybe in Latin America, that maybe there's not investment to do that. So now I can see, and this is going to happen, this is going to for sure happen. There are some professions who are going to be where actually the limit or the boundary is going to be very diffuse, right? Why? Because you need to jump to one point to another one to have the right skills for the solution. So you can see a lot of architects right now working on video mapping, you know, a lot of architects trying to integrate that in their solution and as a kind of a solution for architecture or urbanism as well. But yeah, this is the first time somebody asked me your question. I don't have a proper answer, but I can see that now people are trying to adapt. And I think the main challenge is if you are in a position that you don't want to challenge yourself with the new technologies, so you're gonna struggle a little bit. You're gonna struggle as a person, or maybe you can struggle leading a process in your company as well.
Yes, I totally agree. You've mentioned Grasshopper, for example, during your presentation, and it's one of the how can we call it, the platforms or applications that are very not known in the architecture domain, because it uses some technical language, some technical savoir-faire, how we say in French.
Mm-hmm.
And this can be very this can be very intriguing and this at the same time very repulsive when it comes to an architect who's way more used to designing, to conceiving through sketches. So this is why while you were talking and you mentioned grasshopper, I was very impressed because it's something that I have been currently working on with Rhino, of course, and few architects actually use that in general designing. And yeah, I have another question for you, if you don't mind, before anyone can ask questions. I'm very
Sure.
sorry. Do you have any advices for us, the younger generation?
Yeah, well, I think right now is an amazing moment to understand that first, for example, we need to be very critical that technology is just a tool. Okay, it's not the solution. You cannot find any better solution and any better tool as you using your hand and your brain. And the connection that you have using your hand and your brain is something that there's no computer that can achieve that. Of course, this is the main message right now. But if we can actually integrate, or if we can understand more about the new technologies and how through this learning by doing, this hands-on experience and integrating technology on that, I think if we're open to that, if we're open to share knowledge instead of just keeping for me, I think this is creating a different kind of mindset. Now for the new generations, I think it's a matter also to see architecture as maybe the traditional architecture of 10 or 20 years ago. You know, architecture is going to different domains. It's trying to also understand different scales, from something as big as a building that's something as small as an interaction, right? Or maybe a product design. So being resilient, as the name of at the beginning of the presentation, be resilient to those changes, I think is the most important thing that we have to do. Okay, but also we need to challenge our education. We need to understand that right now is not about following the same path. Okay, it's about how we can understand the skills that first I really want to do, not that someone is pushing me to do something. Because if you don't have the passion to do that, at the end, you're going to hate whatever you're doing. But if you have the passion and you can gain those skills and you can understand that maybe in 10 years or maybe in 20 years, the kind of solutions of architecture are going to be totally different. So you can adapt step by step. Okay. So there's a very interesting data that from McKinsey that in 2025, we're going to have so many new jobs that the kids who are actually studying today, they're studying for something that they don't know what is going to be at the end. So this also is actually like something important, because that means that how to teach kids today for something that we don't know is going to happen, right? But being flexible on this process, be open on the know-how, on the knowledge, and trying to share that is going to help us a lot to be flexible on time, right?
There's also a quote that says that by 2030, 80% of the jobs still don't exist yet. So
exactly.
The one you're talking to, right? Yeah. Well, those were my questions. Your presentation was very intriguing. So if our attendees have also some questions to ask, please do so. We'll be happy to share with Mr. Robert.
Really, nobody has any questions? I have a million. I can't address them now because I am like the people who like to sketch. And when you say grasshopper and rhino, I love the animals. Beautiful, and they're almost dying out now, but grasshoppers are everywhere, but rhinos are not. But yeah, I really want to come to the Fablab and start learning something. Do you have patience for people who are as young as I am?
Yeah, totally. You know that something interesting is that we did an analysis of that you don't know how many people above 35 are looking for these kind of opportunities, right? And the Fablab is a place where actually you just need to go walk in and ask for something, wait for the new workshops and courses that we're gonna have. Fab Academy, for example, now they're gonna open for next year. Fab Academy is an interesting diploma because it will challenge yourself in any way, in different ways, and of course in ways that you cannot imagine. But especially because it's going to take you out of the comfort zone. And this is the most difficult part, you know. And as you said before, okay, you love sketches. I love sketches as well, you know. But when I can understand that my sketch can be integrated with something else, or I can use it a mix of technology and traditional tools, that's amazing. So yeah, please go to the Fab Lab right now. Even if Doha is growing a lot on different spaces, you can go also to Mada Fab Lab, where actually they're working with people with special needs. Even all the furniture, all the space was designed for people who are actually in wheelchairs, or people who has problems with their hands and things like that. So what I'm trying to say is that now the ecosystem is growing. Now people are more aware about this, and institutions are truly believing on this as well. So it's an amazing moment to be in Doha, to be honest. This is something that I can see.
I'd love more information later, whenever you can, about your courses in the Fab Lab and the Fab Academy and how people can join. And
Sure.
especially now with COVID, whether it's open or whether you can do it online, it would be fantastic. But I think they have a question from Miluna.
Yeah, I think
Miluna,
it's about
can I unmute you? Can you go ahead and speak it out? Can you unmute yourself, or should I read it out? Go ahead. Thank you, Miluna. Join us.
Hi, good evening. I would like to ask if, because what you said there is, I feel it's very important. So I'd like to know if we could visit Fab Lab, and also how can we visit?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Do
to
we
visit
need to have a booking, or do we need to...
So there's many ways, but the easy way to do is just go there. So for example, the team, they're going to be more than happy to get people. They are actually receiving people every day. So if you just want to go and check it, just go there. It's in the new industrial area in the Qatar Business Incubation Center. It's a little bit far from Doha. Well, not that far, but we're used to shorts, different kind of distances, right? But if you go there, actually, you can just go and see, talk with the guys, understand a little bit about the machines they have. If you go to the website, they are putting all the new workshops. Right now, mostly everything is online, but we're trying to go step by step to normal. But due to COVID, the industrial area, you know, it was closed for almost 2 months, I think so. So, but now it's open and it's working properly. So you can just go there. And then, of course, if you have an idea, if you want to go and you want to work, actually, the Fab Lab works as a co-working space. So you can go there and you can work in the Fab Lab. They're going to give you computers. And if you want to just to try a little bit 3D printing, they're going to teach you a little bit. And if you know more, you can just ask when they're going to open new courses or new workshops, and you can actually book one. If you want to know more about Fab Academy, go to fabfoundation.org or fabacademy.com, because this is a program that is actually from the center of from Bits and Atoms in MIT. They are not part of MIT as a diploma, but they start like that. So you can go, you can check that. And now it's going to start in January. It's a 6 months diploma, and every year it starts in January. And it works in a way that we have the international mentor, who is Neil Gershenfield. He's the director of the Center of Bits and Atoms in MIT. And we have people everywhere, all the Fab Labs who are nodes, they actually are given the courses. And so they have local mentors and tutors, and they will take you to the process. So yes, just go and check it, because it's very interesting, to be honest.
Okay, thank you so much.
For sure,
That's
Milena.
fantastic.
Hope to see you there, right?
Yeah,
I think
sure.
we have time for, thank you, Miluna. Thank you, Robert. We have time for just one more question, because it's just past 8.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? Anybody? Abdullah, we can't hear you.
Mr. Bak, yeah, we cannot hear
Mr.
you.
Bakr, yeah.
Maybe
We can't hear you.
if you write the question.
We can't hear you. Do you want to write it down? Yeah, he gave up.
Oh, it's a shame. Well, We can have a coffee, Mr. Abdullah.
Oh, certainly. I
that
think
would
we
be
should.
better. That would be better.
Coffee at the Fablab. But that's where you
Coffee
are
at the-
right now. That's where you will find you, yes? At the Fab
Well,
Lab?
no, actually in the Fablab, no, because I'm not the manager anymore. I'm overseeing all the projects. So Rania is the new manager. But if, for example, if you want to go there, just let me know and I can go with you. We can be there. For example,
You promised us a lecture at some point about using this stuff for architects, remember?
Yeah, of course. Actually, we
Yeah.
can think about something. Right now, I think if we have less than 20, we can do something because we were trying to do some events, but Cubic refused that. But if it's less than 20, we can do. We can just wait a little bit more. But I will be more than happy. We can have a lecture. We can have even something that we can do for Architects Hub is that we can have a free workshop for something. Let's say 3D printing or whatever.
Yes.
So we have a group of 10, 15. I think that's a good number.
Perfect.
So it's not very crowded. We can take you to, how to do the design, or architects has a lot of 3D models, or some of them. We can use that as an example. If you have a model, how you can 3D print that, how you can fix that for 3D printing and so on. Or laser cutting as well.
Fantastic. I'll get back to you on that. Certainly, you're on.
More than happy to do it. And Kenza
So
can go to Qatar and you can do it as well.
That's what I was going to
Exactly.
actually. Since I am a part of the Fab Lab in France, when I come back to Qatar, can I come and see actually how the Fab Lab in Qatar works as well? Can I bring my help as well if it's possible?
Amazing.
I can do that because I usually come during the December. And so I can always help out for free, of course, and help other people know how to 3D print or use Grasshopper or Rhino.
That's good. Yeah, I like it.
Well, I'd like to say thank you very much, Robert, for sharing your knowledge. And this is very inspirational indeed. And this is not going to be like the last. We're going to be the first of many, inshallah.
Thank you.
And we have to get in touch with you a lot more. Thank you so very much. Kenza, thank you for joining us from Paris and moderating this and sharing your amazing spirit and knowledge. We're waiting for your startup too and information about what's going to happen. So we'll see you soon, inshallah. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. It's been really inspirational. Thank you so much. And I wish you a very good night. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Adios.
Adios.
Take care. Bye-bye. Good night.